so that we can talk on this one. So if we starting with the things like, okay, if you see the data as on today, they are in terms of graphs everywhere, whether it's a social network, we are connected to each other, maybe through Facebook or WhatsApp or some Twitter or some other LinkedIn profile. So we are connected, and then the connections can be represented types of like graphs, and we have certain kind of features. Similarly, transportation, we have set graphs. When we talk about the brain signals, brain networks, again it formulate some kind of a graph and connections there. We have a representation of genes, then that gene representation is again a graphical representation. Similarly, if we talk about drugs or chemistry, we have molecular graphs. So the world is full of graphs, and they are connected, fully connected graphs, or they may be semi-connected graphs. We are using at various places there. Going in a bit in depth, we can see that, okay, these are the some kind of a patches representing family or friends or high school friends or local area friends, where we have people around with certain kind of features and they are connected with each other. The representation can be done in form of graphs there. And each graph, each connection represents certain kind of a bonding between the two nodes, and each node is having certain kind of features or certain kind of information which can be considered for the various calculations, for further identification of certain outputs from there. Another figure which is like that, this one is traffic maps, and yes, traffic map is straightforward. It's a graph representation. We have nodes, you can see in the on your screen here, and then these nodes are connected through certain kind of points, certain kind of bold lines. Those are the connecting lines, and they represent certain kind of graphs. So again, in traffic maps, we can see that graphs are available. Similarly, if you look about the problems like in optimization, it's a TSP problem, travel salesman problem, and you can see here also there is certain kind of a connection between the cities. So the red dots are the cities, and then we are looking for the minimization of the distance between the cities. So again, it is a kind of a representation in form of a graph. I'm just taking few of the things which are means we are solving it, and there is a representation in form of a graph, like a medical diagnosis. So we start from certain point, and then we try to find out various things like abnormality in eye and morphology, and we try to connect the things with each other. And when we are trying to connect these things with each other, we can say there is a connection, and the connection, if it is there, it may have weight, equal weight or unequal weight, that is a different part of it. But if there is some connection between the two, that can be represented in the form of a graph. Very popular application where people have implemented some kind of graph theories, that is drug discovery. We can see here the molecules, there is a particular arrangement between the molecules. There are a certain kind of a bonding between the molecules and the atoms, and then how they are connected with each other. And then if they are connected, they formulate a certain kind of a chemical composition which can be taken, finally converted into a potential drug to solve any particular kind of medicine. So drug discovery, if we see the problem from this perspective of the graphical representation, yes, graphs are there. So these are the certain kind of various representations which are there. You can see that, okay, which is the type of the problem, what are the side effects. So in case of drug discovery, it's not only that, people work on various aspects of it, that, okay, this medicine is fine, but the composition is similar to some non-composition. So that non-composition is having, if it is having some kind of a side effects, whether this new composition which is almost similar kind of it, whether it will give certain kind of side effects or not, or can it solve those things and all these things. So this one is another area where people are looking at the things from the perspective of representation in form of a graph. Another kind of a modeling people perform, use this representation, graphical representation in form of for for spread of particular disease like COVID here. So you can see here with the day 8 and then day 9 and day 10 how the movements are being there, or if and we also understand it that okay, one person is suffering, then he's in touch with 3 4 people, and then they are in touch with somebody else. So there is some kind of a connections, and then that can be estimated that how the spread is there and which direction it is going. So again, it is a graphical representation, and if we can represent the problem in form a graphical form, we can use those methodologies or topologies which can be like graphical representations. Another one example, that is a recommender system. So we can have a recommender system. We have query product, we have few lists there, and in the list we have certain kind of things there. Then what is the common factor, or what is the correlations between them, and if that we can find those things there, then we can correlate those things in kind of connections, and finally we can go with some kind of recommendations whether to go for this or not to go for this, and likewise. Another representation, you can see auto texting of the images there. So you can see there is a connection between the things when you talk about the image there, that okay, a person is there and person is a male and then he's having a shirt, and then talk about the hat, talk about the racket, and there is a hand and the pant, and then we can connect this like you can see in the last image, man has arm one, it has a hand is holding a holding, and it's holding a racket. So likewise there is a certain kind of a connections between those dots, and if it is a representation here, so it exactly look like a graphical graph formation there, and this one is nothing but it's a scene generation basically, or vice versa, scene is given, then text generation from the scene, one can say that. There is another kind of work, that is the prediction. I'll link prediction. I'll discuss more on it in the coming slides. What is that? What are the various things we can do with such type of topologies? This one is again another applications that is basically point cloud classification. So we have certain kind of data, we have certain kind of patches there, and then from those patches we can extract certain features, and then those features can be connected to those particular nodes, and then we can find out what are the connection between the nodes, and if it is there, then can we if it is changing, can we have some kind of a dynamic structuring of that, and if it is there, then can we regenerate the things, and likewise. Similarly, this one is another application where the things can be represented in form of a graphical representation. So we have image, and then we take out, okay, this image is having few factors there, and then how those factors are, they are connected with each other. Then can we generate some phrases or some kind of messages, and then final interaction can be generalized from there. So a lot of such applications are there, like this one is text classification. So the text is represented in form of a graph. So we have taken, like in this picture, you can see there is a text which is taken, that is original text, and then that is represented in form of a graph, and then these graphs are then, okay, these nodes are taken separated, and then they are tried to, they are combined with each other in various combinations so that we can have final classification or information extraction for it. So all these applications are, we solve these applications by with the different approaches, but here the today agenda is, can we represent in these things in form of graph, and if we can represent them, then we can have a better way of extracting the things, because if the representation is the inherent pattern is in the graphical form, and then if it is there, can we use graphical approaches to solve it. So this one is a relation extraction in NLP. So again, you can see there is a certain kind of a graphical connections between the various points, and it is it can be presented like this one. This one is basically more related to sports or healthcare. You can have video inputs, and then those you can see here we have certain dots there representing various joints of the body and how these dots are moving, and based upon that can we take a certain kind of a classification whether the person is sitting or he or she is running, or something like that. So that is pose estimation. So again, this one is a graphical representation there. Similarly, application in the chip design also. So there are a lot of such applications where we solve the same problem, these problems with the different perspectives. But uh, if we see in depth, we find that there is certain kind of connection between the points there, which are very important points. Or if there is a connection, can we represent these things in a form of a graph? And then if it is can be representative of a graph, then what are the possible solutions? Normally what we are doing, as such many of the researchers they are doing, what we are having a block, we are having a cell, and we pass an input to it, and then yes, it generates certain kind of a output, and then okay, we what we try to see that okay, the generated output is how close it is to the expected output, and if it is not close, there is some error, and then we try to minimize the error in such a way that whatever is there in this green cell, we try to modify those things there so that okay, whatever be the input, that we give any input to this cell, it will generate that kind of output what is desired by us. This is a building block. Basically, we start with the your neural networks and all this, and then what we do various kind of experiments with this building block. So we do such kind of experiments like okay, we have multiple building blocks. Okay, so one can be, you can say perceptron is one, then we can extend it, we increase the layer, and okay, we have only one directional flow, then we say it's a feed forward, then we change the arrangement inside the cell. Okay, these circles that we move towards radial base functions, and then if we increase these cells in our in our architecture, we call it a deep feed forward network. This is one kind of arrangement. Another kind of arrangement is like this. Okay, what we do, the arrangement is same, but we are taking the output and feeding it back. We call it a recurrent neural network, and then we do the change in the structure or change inside the mathematics of that particular circle. So the representation is there. You can see here we are putting certain kind of probabilities and all those things. So we move to the short-term, long-term memories, and then we do further change in these cells. Though the arrangement is same, we are like moving towards some spiking arrangements there. We move towards a gated recurrent unit. This one is another kind of arrangement there. This one is a third kind of arrangement. So you have input cells more, output cells more, in between you have less cells, autoencoders we call it. Then we can have variational autoencoders. Then if we change the input things, we call them denoising, because you can see here the input, we are putting a triangle that is representing your differential memory, sorry, noisy environment. So these are known as denoising autoencoders. And then you can have a sparse arrangements between sparse connection between these dots. They are known as sparse autoencoders. So this one is another kind of arrangement. This one is another kind of interesting arrangements where you can see all the input nodes are the output nodes, and they have different kind of connections. We name them Markov chain or Hopfield network or Boltzmann machine or restricted Boltzmann machine or deep leaf networks. The arrangements are just, you can see if you watch carefully, the arrangements are not only in the like patterns, different patterns. We are taking it, all these cells, how they are connected and what is there inside that cell, that define a new kind of a network there. This one is a further improvement. You can call them like deep convolution network. So it's an arrangement, you can see here, some part is feed forward, some part is sparse, and then some part is again kind of a deep network there. Similarly, we have deep convolution network, and then we have deep convolutional inverse graphics network. So these are the various networks, different kind of networks which are available in the literature. But if we watch it carefully, it is the same cell, which was the basic building block, and then how we are connecting these cells with each other. First thing, how many cells are there? So whether we are connecting these cells in cascaded or serial connection or parallel connection, or they are fully connected, or they are sparsely connected, or that is one kind of architectures that lead to certain kind of a neural network arrangement. Whereas on the same side, what is there inside that cell, whether the what are the happening things happening inside it, they are probabilistic, that lead to one kind of network. If it is noisy, that's another kind of solution network. If it is spiking, then it leads to another kind of arrangement. So whole arrangement is something like this, and we are using all these approaches to solve such type of problems, maybe speech data recognition, grid games, or NLPs, or image processing, and a lot of such type of things there. Well, from these two set of informations, we have one thing very interesting, and the interesting part is the problems are when we talk about, if you watch them carefully, they can be represented in form of graphs. If you talk about these network arrangements, neural network arrangements, you'll find they also have certain kind of representation in the graph. So if both are represented in form of graph, can we solve the things using your graphical mathematics or approaches to address those issues there? And that is basically one of the important factor which excite the people, and from there we have GNN comes into picture, which is known as graph neural network. So when I talk about the graph neural network, we can do few things from a graph neural network. So what is a pipeline? Pipeline is we take the inputs, we represent the things in form of like we have data, so it can be social data or chemical data or some another data. We pass it to the graphical neural networks, and we represent this network in form of graphs and nodes. So we can perform various actions, and what are the more applications, or what are the job we can do? We can do the node classification. We can do the predict or link prediction. We can talk about community detection, or we can use it for graph generation. Lot of things can be done from it. So when we talk about the graph, so this one is a simple representation. We have an undirected graph. So you can see here there's no any direction to the links between the two nodes. If there is a direction, we call it a directed graph. And if every node is connected to every another node, we call it a complete graph. So this one is a simple complete graphical representation, which studied most of us studied in our undergrad classes there also. So simple graph can be represented like this, and the representation is basically like any point, it has vertices and edges there. So that is the way we can represent it. So we can represent it like this, and then we try to develop one matrix from it, and that matrix will give a representation that okay, which vertices is connected to which vertex. Okay, if it is connected, we assign them 1, and if it is not connected, we assign them 0. Diagonally, we normally keep it 0, and then we modify this adjacency matrix for our calculations also. Each node is having some features. That is the second thing we need to understand. And just very quickly, I try to assume many of you are aware of this thing, this approach, but let's quickly revise those things there. So each node is having certain features, and you can see x1, x2, x3. These are the features there. Okay, so if I can many things can be done. I can predict a feature of any connected node by this approach. That is one kind of this. So we call it someone is node level prediction. So I'm trying to predict any node. So one example is there. So I know the connection between you can see here your purple nodes and green nodes, and I try to find out okay, what is the new node which is there, what is this one, how good it is for this one. That is one kind of thing. So this will, this is the example here. You can see here, means like this one is, you can take it, okay. These are the four nodes. Let's check it if it is pointer is there. So you can say here, okay, they are connected with each other, maybe Facebook people, and new person joined, and we need to predict it whether the person smoke or not. So that's the feature of it. So we know these connections, and from there we try to find it out. So this one is basically node level prediction. We are trying to find out the node of that one. The second job we can do is, we have this network, and we will try to see that, okay, there is a connection between this node or this node. Okay, so that is basically a link prediction. And third one is, okay, this one is one graph which is given to us, and we try to match it with the another one as it is. So that is known as graph level prediction. These are the three major things which people are solving. Either they try to predict the node of it, or they try to predict what is, there's any link or relation between these two things. That is a link prediction. And third one is, they try to predict complete graph, that how it look like. So that is basically the third part people perform using graph level predictions there. Okay, so it is like, okay, question may be something like this. Okay, if this is the thing, these are the inputs, so why we not pass the input to a neural network and find the solution for it? There are certain issues with this kind of arrangement. Okay, we can do, because, okay, each node is having certain features, and then you can say, okay, this one is one node and another and three. So why not to take 1, 2, 3, 4 as an input here, and then predict the output using simple neural network? There are certain issues related with this one. One is size and shape. So if our information which is going in is of different size and shape, it will create an issue. Because if I'm looking for a neural network, then input has to be of the same range. It cannot be like, we cannot have input like, okay, initially I'm giving 8 input, and next time it can't be like 4 input, 3, 4 I left it, or something like that. So those issues are there. So another thing is, so it has to be size independent. So that's why instead of using simple neural network, graphical neural network is better choice there. Second is isomorphism. So you can see here in the image is same, but it is rotated. That means the input 1 is not going to input 1, but if we pass the input 1 to input 3 to a neural network, obviously we understand that the results are different, they are not accurate. Such type of things happen. So though the image is same, but if it is rotated like this and passed through the network, there are certain issues. But here graphic neural network perform better solution to such kind of things. And then it is a grid structure basically. In case of conventional networks, we have grid structure. This one is fixed structure. So fixed structure is basically, that means 1 goes here, 1, 2, 3. So if I number it like 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, 5 here, then it's okay. But okay, the same structure, somebody define it like this: 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, 5 here. Then yes, neural network and those structures, they have issues. So in that way also, this one is much better. And this one is the fundamental idea how it works. So what is happening, we want to try to find out a certain kind of a solution or we want to find out the prediction. We want to do certain kind of prediction to a node which is totally new. So what we can have is, we take the features and then we pass this information to each with these nodes, so that we can reach to the final judgment. We can represent it in terms of a graph knowledge. So finally we can have certain kind of information whether this belongs to which category or not. I'll show you one more some examples here. Okay, I'll just skip in these 2 slides because I'll show more in example. So this is basically what is the issue there. And this idea of the working idea of this whole neural graphical network comes from this kind of structure there. We understand this one is already there in your CNN models and some other models also, that okay, this node is taking information from the all connected nodes here, But this structure, this arrangement is a grid arrangement, which is totally depends upon how the inputs are generated. Whereas what we are talking about in GNN, the arrangement is like this, but idea remains same, that okay, this node update, it will take the information of from all connected nodes, and based upon that it will update its weights and the parameters likewise. Okay, so we can take it from here. Okay, so you want to do some work here for processing for fifth node, so it will, so all the features which are coming here, so okay, this one they pass like 2 pass to 1, 3 pass to 1, and 4 pass to 1. This process is known as message passing. Basically this one is more, you can say that okay, what are the features there, the some information is shared with the one. And once it reaches there, then from these messages which are reaching there, reaching from your 3, reaching from 2, and reaching from 4, and it has its own kind of feature. So we have 4 informations which arrived at node 1, and then they are aggregated basically. So the features coming from rest of the nodes, they are aggregated, and we have all features of node 1, and then we use these aggregation and the old features to update the features. So you can check it from the colors, that makes the things easy. Earlier it is totally blue. Okay, then we have green here, green here, green here. So all these 3 green from node 2, node 3, node 4, they are aggregated, and then update is being done there. So we have some features of the blue and some features of green, and that is basically after first iteration of the node 1. Okay, so similarly this process we do it for 2 and 3 and 4. So you can see here, after some time, after some iterations, you will find that okay, all these nodes, they have combination of the things. They have features of 1, sharing of features of 1 and 2 and 3, and likewise. Whereas you can see some information is going to the 5 also, so it is having some kind of like green color here also, as well as some kind of red, which is, we assume it initially its own features. So that means updating the things there. So this is how the things happen, and this process is known as embedding. And people, the idea is nice. Basically this is one kind of a news sharing also, you can say. Okay, so one person is passing the information to the next, and that person who is passing in the next iteration, he will get updated from the person who is connected to him. So this is how the things are being shared with each other, and the things are being updated. So every iteration, aggregation and update will occur, and this process keep on repeating till the some kind of representation will occur like this. So you can have you can see the representation of all the 4, 5 nodes, and then okay, we know these 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes, what they represent. So from there we can have certain kind of a decision, then we can take on the representation of 5th node and likewise. So this is how it is happening. The most of the works or research articles, they represent the things like this. Okay, so 5th is connected with 2, and 3 and 4 they are connected with 1. So these 1, 2, 3, 4 aggregate, and they update 1. That is happening like this. Then they update it further, because 1 is connected to 2. So you can see, you can understand this step. This is very interesting step, because research articles and books, they represent it like this. So first iteration, 5 is connected to 2, and then okay, 3 is connected to 1, and 4 is connected to 1. So what we take an input from 2, 3, 4, we aggregate and update 1. So in the next iteration, 2 will be updated. So 2 will be updated because it is connected to 3, okay, and it is also connected to 1. Similarly, 3 will be updated likewise. It is connected with 2 and 1. 4 will be updated because it is connected to 5 and 1. And like this tree keep on working, and you can have a final representation of the graphs and the information. So this one is neighboring loops. Basically, they are formulated, they form sharing of the data there. So representation will be simple. A new value of the any kind of features, we can say update function, and it will be update on initial value of that particular initial feature of that particular node, and the aggregation of the other nodes on it. So this is the key working of your GNN basically. So you can see that this function, this one, these are the other nodes which are connected, they are aggregated, and this one is its own feature, and then they are updated. We can adopt any kind of a mechanism to update it. There are various mechanisms and formulations are given in the literature. Okay, so how you are doing it, how you are updating it. So we have two functions here. So we can use mean, max, even we can use neural network for updation, or we can use neural network here. And then how you arrange these two blocks, they and result to GNN variants basically. So like one kind of this one is one kind of arrangement there, which is graph convolutional network proposed by CAF in 2016. Here the arrangement is like this. Yeah, any question? Any query? I'll take the queries at the end, if you permit for that.
Yes. Anybody agree?
Is there any issue with the sound or all these
No,
things?
no, no, sir. Everything is perfectly fine, sir.
Okay, because I heard, because I got some sound from your side, so that's why.
No, no, sir. Actually, okay.
Okay. So this one is one kind of arrangement where we talk about the self-normalized. You can see they are self-normalized, and there is one kind of loop which is popular, known as a Kirchhoff model. There is another model proposed in 2016, multi-layer perceptron as aggregator. So aggregation is done by MLP. We have used multi-layer. I mean, we can use multi-layer perceptron to aggregate the data. So third one is like attention network, graph attention network, appeared in 2017. So this one you can see the arrangement. They are attention weights. They are arranged there. So another one is gated graph neural network proposed by Lee in 2015. So you can see the aggregation part is done by GRU. So these are this give you an idea that what are the various variants they are available in the literature. So variants, again, I go back to that particular slide because that is very important for us to understand. We have these two things in with us. One is update mechanism, another one is aggregate. And here you can play with the things, how you are aggregating the other data and how you are updating your own data. So these are the various modes you can try for more, and all combination they end up with a new kind of a variant here. So these are the certain kind of variants people have used, like spectral methods. So they have used different aggregators like this and the updaters like this. Non-spectral convolutional network, DCNN, graph SAGE, then graph attention network, then graph neural networks, then graph LSTM, then graph GRUs, and all these things. So we have two things where we can play our we can play with. One is aggregator part, how you are aggregating it. You can use classical approaches, you can use statistical approaches, you can use some ANN modules, you can use some ML technique there, and similarly updater module, how you update your own information. So these are the certain variants which are available in GNN. This one is the same idea which I have discussed with you. And then from here another thing comes into the picture basically, and that is basically inspired from CNN. So convolutional networks we are aware of. We know that, okay, how the convolution appears. We take a filter and move the filter across our data points, and from that filter we try to find out which one is having the maximum value, and then we proceed that way. So this one is the approach in convolution we perform. Basically, we have certain kind of image is I, and then I have filter which is K. I put this filter over this image and then take the product of it and find out this value, and I keep on shifting this filter, and then okay, I end up with this kind of a solution there. Okay, so here the dimension reduction is there, and only the main features, important features can be done. This we already know in convolution network. So this concept is being used, and then from here if you use this type of approach, then that is known as GC, and that is graphical convolution network. So mathematics is very simple. It's same like this. Okay, we develop adjacency matrix, which is basically giving you the connection between each other. That is known as your adjacency matrix. So you can see here. Okay, self is always taken as 1 in this case. In modified adjacency matrix, we take diagonal elements also 1. Otherwise, 1 is connected to 4 and 2. So we have, so likewise we have these values there. 1 is connected with 2, 1 is connected with 3, 1 is connected with 4. So all these elements are 1. Likewise, similarly, we can develop a degree matrix here. Degree is how many elements that particular is connected. So 1 is connected with the degree of 3, and then 2 is connected with only 2 elements, so degree of 2. Similarly, 5 is connected with only 4, so degree of 1. So that is known as the degree matrix. And then, okay, these are the features. And one here means features here at 1. So these are the 3 columns, 3 features which are connected with node 1. Similarly, 3 features with 2, 3, and 4, and 5. We try to find it out, and then, okay, we multiply this one to generate this kind of this arrangement. If you watch it carefully, I'm not going to discuss on the mathematics of it, but this is exactly look like we are putting some filter and then we are solving those things, and likewise. So similarly, we do it all this stuff, develop the matrix, and then this feature matrix is modified accordingly, like this. This was I was talking about how degree matrix is being used. So we modify our adjacency matrix here because we are putting diagonal elements also as 1, and then we calculate D inverse. These mathematics are given in most of the papers there, that okay, how to find out these approaches there, and we multiply it by feature matrix so that we have find a new features here. So this one is final equation. What we can have here is I discuss in a brief. Okay, we have A dash, which is your adjacency matrix. Okay, and then your X, this one is feature matrix. This is multiplied by the weight matrix, which is W, initial weights there. We pass it through ReLU function. A hat is your scaled adjacency matrix multiplied by the trainable weights here, and then we pass it to the softmax function, which give me the Z, basically which gives the output, and from there we keep on modifying the things there. This is the ecosystem. Ecosystem means if you want to work on this approach, okay, various libraries and some examples and some tools already developed by various people. So you can visit these sites to talk about them. This one is you can see here TensorFlow is being used here. This library is Stanford library. This one is graph neural network. Their propositions and how they are working. PyTorch, most of you are aware of. TU dataset, it's a graphic learning. A lot of data sets are available to implement. Most of this, what I've shown you, ecosystem, this one is available in Python. Okay, so that's about how this graphical network it works, and then though I have skipped some part of the mathematics here, but the idea is very simple. It is basically message sharing and then aggregating, and based upon the information from the connected people, we update ourselves, and this process we repeat throughout the system, and finally we can identify or we can perform the task we are looking for. Okay, this one is the agenda. This one is some work which is currently going on in my lab here at MNIT Raman Lab. That is SCMG based human activity recognition. So these are the standards when we are talking about the activity recognition. It is cycling, walking, playing, skating, cleaning, sitting, or leg extension and boxing. These are the various activities we are working for. So what is the pipeline of the approach? And the pipeline is okay, data acquisition. So we put the sensor, surface mounted sensors, and from there we obtain our data. So data acquisition, apply wavelet denoising. Obviously the information or data is having certain kind of noise. We try to filter it out, and then yes, we work on various types of windowing kind of things, and Okay, we applied here ensembling with approaches. So this one is pre-process so that we can have features there. So we have handcrafted feature extraction, around 108 features there, and then we formulate a graph of those features here. So you can see the graphical representation is there, and then we use GCNN and graph convolution neural network, and then which help us in identification of standing, walking, and sitting. So that is the classification we done there. So this one is a wavelet denoising. Most of you are aware of, particularly those who are from electronics engineering. We have wavelet, and then we decompose it, and then we estimate the noise. We put some levels, thresholds, and once we estimate the noise, we remove that noise, and then we reconstruct the our signals, which is noise-free signals. And then these are the handcrafted features which can be used for any kind of such kind of activity, like mean absolute value, root mean square, zero crossing, slope sign change, variance, release and amplitude, and likewise. So in our case, we have considered these as 11 features, and from there we develop this network. Okay, so this network is quite huge in the size, and representation for a smaller part with 500 edges there in front of your screen. Now we are doing graph matching basically. That's a graph to graph matching, so that we can identify that if this is the representation of the various features obtained from muscle activities, then this represent what. So we use simple Pearson correlation approach. So we have find out the correlation between the two sets, and then from there we try to find out the probability of happening a particular thing, which can be used to predict the event, basically what type of event. So whichever is having the maximum probability, we can say, okay, this representation is only for that particular purpose, and we can easily identify the activity based upon this kind of approach there. So okay, these are the performance parameters. Most of us use accuracy, specificity, sensitivity, Pearson F score, and yeah, we check it for two sets of arrangements. One normal people, and one is an abnormal people, and then yes, these are the 11 subjects, and then for them we checked it, and we found the accuracy level is quite good enough. We compare it with other approaches, and you can see on your screen that the accuracy level, accuracy obtained by GNN is much better. GNN means here it is GNN represents means this particular approach, that is Pearson PCGNN, and the results are much better than the other approaches there. And that's all here. A lot of things can be done. We are still in the process of exploring some new things or new changes to this kind of arrangement, so that the accuracy level can be further increased, and we make it more fast and more. That's all for today. I hope I have finished the things in time. If you have any queries, yeah, you are most welcome. I'm stopping my presentation. So you can put your queries in the chat box. I can take few queries from here.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Rajesh. This is Dr. O.P. Verma.
Yeah, okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for giving the insight of the ReLU, of the CNN, about the GNN. And I'm also working in that area. So my student is here, I think Himanshu, and he has some query. He also raised hand. And one more person, I think, has raised a hand. So we are taking two queries in order to that.
Yeah,
So,
no,
Himanshu,
not any.
yes.
If any query, I'll try to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, Himanshu.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
It's Himanshu from NIT Jalandhar, sir. Basically, we are working in the field of object tracking, and in that field, normally people uses CNN like networks, right? For the backbone and for the tracking. So the question is, can we use GNN for this task?
Can you repeat the task, please?
Sir, task is object tracking, single object tracking.
Yes. There you can do it basically. So if you are looking, since your object tracking is also, we can represent that particular whole passage or whole event in form of graphs and the connections. So anything if you can represent in form of a graphs and the connections, that that can be done, that can be solved by using this kind of approach.
Sir, do we have some benchmark, benchmark backbones like we have for ImageNet in the case of CNNs, like ResNet 50?
The benchmarks for what, like, because your problem is something different. You want to compare what?
Sir, for CNNs, standard trained algorithms are like backbone networks are like ResNet 50, DenseNet. So, do we have something like these types of networks in the field of GNN also, or we have to develop all the my GNN network from scratch?
This one is relatively basically a newer part here, and my suggestion is to develop your some kind of structure there, whereas you can compare this with the rest of the algorithms, looking towards the accuracy as well as the time complexity. So those things where you can put it that whether your proposal is much better. This one is relatively a very new domain where people have now, since last 1 year, it is becoming very popular. But you will not find much applications in the other domain. So suggestion is you'd start developing your own algorithm. The mathematics is quite easy here. I told you you need to develop few matrices, which is not a big task, because if you know the graph, you can develop your A matrix, A hat, D matrix, and then yes, rest of the things are just like a neural network. You have weights, you need to train your weights. So the pipeline is very simple. The point is, my suggestion is you go for your own module rather than looking for somebody else's module.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. One more query is from my side.
Yeah, please.
Generally, students are confused in order to choose the activation function like ReLU function and all others.
Right.
So, is it any procedure to adopt to choose this type of activation function, sir?
Yeah, a few things are there, which is basically manually we can think of. Like if my network, I'm looking for more storage of the memory kind of things, then I can. It's not a good idea put a simple kind of a linear activation function. If you want to keep a hold on the things, if you are looking for some probabilistic models, again, your linear activation function is not a good idea. If you are looking for a probability or you want to work on a distribution kind of a networks there. Whereas if you are looking for a network where we are just our output dependency just on the some kind of a linear combination of things. Yeah, we can say okay, you go by the linear kind of networks because they have advantage of differentiability and all those things there. So that kind of literature is one way of one way to choose the parameters. The another way is now another research is building up that many times what happen is we have 3, 4, 5, 10 algorithms and we have certain data and we just implement our algorithms and data, and one of them is performing the best. So now people are trying to figure that out, why that one is performing best for this problem, but for other problem it is not performing best. So that type of one can say science is now building up, and people are slowly developing some kind of a mathematical proofing of those things.
Yes, very true.
Another area which can be explored if you are interested in that. Okay, why some algorithm is giving me a very good results, and likewise.
Thank you, Professor. So we are going to wrap up here. So thank you very much for giving your time, sir. We are sparing the time. So we are here, sir, in NIT campus. So we will tomorrow. Definitely, we will meet tomorrow in your office, sir.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can meet, and even anybody who's listening here, who is here, I want to do some kind of a research in this domain or healthcare and all these things. My lab, Rama Lab, is open for all. Means we welcome all the kind of all these things because that maybe your idea is quite good good enough to improvise these techniques, or it may possible our approach.
Sir, I think some network issue is here.
My side, it's working fine.
Yes. Okay, sir. So any other query from the participant side want to ask the query.
Yeah, anybody who wish to ask any question, happy to hear that. Any idea?
Any idea? Yes, you want to say here? Yeah. Okay. So thank you, sir, for giving the time. So,
Yeah.
okay, sir.
Okay,
So-
thank you very much. Thanks, sir, for introducing me to nice speaker, your attendees here. See you sometime in person.
Bye, sir. Bye. Bye. So participants, we are wrapping here. Tomorrow the program will going onwards with the same schedule. That schedule is already circulated in the WhatsApp group. So thank you very much. Stay tuned. Bye.